Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to part 4 of the Retro Flower Wall Hanging Crochet Along. In this part, we're going to be finishing the last few rows of the pattern, and then I'm going to go over how I hang and fringe this pattern. Feel free to follow along with me if you'd like, but also feel free to take some creative freedom and hang and fringe this wall hanging however you would like, but please feel free to use how I do it as a reference to how you would like to maybe finish your own wall hangings. To go over briefly what you'll need to finish this wall hanging before we get started, you're going to need, of course, the 2 balls of yarn that we've been working with for the duration of this crochet along. You're going to need your 4.5mm crochet hook, your thread snippers or scissors, yarn needle, I almost forgot what it was called, and your tree branch or dowel rod cut to size. Now when I say cut to size, I suggest cutting your dowel rod or tree branch to about 1.5 inches to 2 inches from the project, just to give you a little wiggle room for hanging the project, and also hanging the project to the dowel rod, but also being able to hang the project to the wall. So you can use whatever technique you would like to be able to hang your piece to the wall. I will go over, of course, how I hang mine, and feel free to do how you would like. Also to do a brief recap of what we've done so far. If you have not been following the crochet along all the way through, I suggest you start with part 1. We go through, of course, the materials you'll need, the notes you need to be able to finish this wall hanging, and of course the pattern. So to just go over briefly what we've done so far, in part 1, we went through rows 1 through 15. Part 2, we did 16 to 31. Part 3, we did 32 to 47. And part 4, we're going to wrap this up with rows 48 to 55. And then, of course, after we are all finished, we will hang and fringe. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and wrap this wall hanging up. All right, and before we get started, I just wanted to go over again that if you would like to follow this pattern or follow along with this pattern with the written pattern, feel free to use the free version on my blog or the printable version in my Etsy shop. And of course, feel free to follow along with the pattern on screen, which will be right here. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. So we left off, I'm using my cheat sheet again. So we left off on row 47. So let's go ahead and pick it right back up on row 48. So we will chain 1. Oh, you know what? Let me de-squeak my hook before this. Now that we've done 3 parts to this video, I should probably know better now to maybe de-squeak before we get started. All right. So we are going to chain 1 and turn. So it'll be row 48. We're going to do 9 single crochet in blue. And again, if you hear any weird noise, it is my puppy dog. Again, she likes to hang around while I do these videos. It's nice to have company, but I don't really need this slurping and licking commentary in the background. So far, I haven't really heard her on video since I've been editing, which is a good thing. But if you hear it, please just ignore her. All right, so coming up on 9. And we're going to do 8 single crochet in green. All right, and then we'll finish up this square with 9 single crochet in blue. For some reason, it looked a little wonky there for a second. I thought maybe I'd gone over a stitch or too many. All right, moving on to the next square. We're going to do 9 single crochet in green. Do 8 single crochet in blue. Right? And I'm sorry, I am laughing at my dog. What are you doing? Stop. She's like digging around on my bed. So irritating. I cannot focus when she's has like cabin fever. All right, and then finishing up this row with 9 single crochet in green. Right, so I'm going to pull these ties back to the wrong side. All right, and then this is what you should have for row 48. Right, moving on to row 49. Going to chain 1 and turn, do 10 single crochet in green, do 6, oh wait, yes, 6. Sorry, I got lost again for a second. Oh my goodness. I am just all out of sorts today. And now, chew, goodness. I have really bad allergies today. My goodness. All right. I think that was the last one. I think that's why I was all out of sorts, because I felt like I had to sneeze and I was trying not to. Okay. Let's pick this back up. Did 10 single crochet in green. I will do 6 in blue. Right, so we'll finish this square off with 10 single crochet in green. Right, moving on to the next square. We'll do 10 single crochet in blue. Do 6 single crochet in green. Right, and finishing this row off with 10 single crochet in blue. All right, and this is what you should have for row 49. Now moving on to row 50, this is going to be the last row of the flower. So we'll chain 1 and turn. And do 11 single crochet in blue. Do 4 single crochet in green. Finish off this square with 11 single crochet in blue. Moving on to the next square. Sorry, I keep laughing at my dog because she keeps moaning. I think she's just bored. All right, and then we'll do 11 single crochet in green. Do 4 single crochet in blue. We'll finish off this row with 11 single crochet in green. Pull the ties through to the long side. All right, and this is what you should have for row 50. So that was the last row of the flower. So now the last few rows of the pattern are just going to be these solid rows here to finish the pattern off. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Starting with row 51, chain 1, turn. All right, and for this row, we're just going to do 26 green, 26 blue. So super easy. And then this is the color pattern we are going to be following for the remainder of the pattern. So super easy. So how have you guys been liking the crochet along so far? Is this something you've enjoyed? Is this something you would like to do again? Because I have had so much fun making these videos. It feels a lot less stressful knowing that I don't have to stay under a certain time limit for one video. And I don't have to do a bunch of jump cuts. I can just kind of work through the pattern with you guys. But again, please feel free to leave any comments on what you would like to see in the future or how you would like videos to be structured. I would love to know. If, like I said, if you prefer these longer type videos, if you prefer shorter ones with a voiceover, no talking, and just the pattern on the screen, which is something I will definitely do if that's what you guys would like, because I can talk forever. But yeah, I've had so much fun doing this with you guys, and I'm still filming these, but I can't wait to see your progress as you progress through the crochet along. I'd love to see the color combinations you guys have come up with. I think that's one of my favorite things about being a pattern designer is, you know, getting tagged on social media with the makes you guys have done, and the color palettes that you've chosen for your own designs. It is just so much fun to see you guys enjoying my patterns. It really does make my day. All right, so that was row 51. So that is the first row of the two-toned color pattern. I just referenced my written pattern just to make sure that I know how many of these rows we are doing. So again, we're doing this until row 55. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 more rows of this, and then we are done with the pattern at least. We still gotta hang it and fringe it, which in my opinion is the most fun part. Because you know you're done with the pattern. Now it's just kind of sprucing it up and finishing it off. You know, you don't have to follow any patterns anymore. You can just freely cut fringe and hang the piece, watch your favorite Netflix or, you know, whatever you're watching. I actually just watched the new Avatar last night, and it was beautiful. I saw the first Avatar, I honestly can't remember. I think it might have been 10 years ago. Probably more than that, maybe 11 or 12 years ago. I saw the first one in theaters and was absolutely obsessed with the cinematography of it, of course, because James Cameron is the one who directed it. And if you don't know, James Cameron is the one who directed Titanic. So I expected nothing less, and the cinematography was just absolutely stunning. I loved this story, and I think he's got a few more up his sleeve from what I can tell. So it looks like we haven't seen the last of the Sully family. So I'm excited to wait another 10 more years. I don't think it's going to be that long for another Avatar movie. What are you guys watching right now? What are some movies that you guys like to watch? I kind of like the thriller, even horror, action type movies. I've been kind of like, this is going to sound really weird, I've been kind of on an apocalyptic kick. I don't know why. I watched, what did I watch? Geostorm. I can't remember what else. Armageddon with Bruce Willis. That made me cry. What else? I don't know. Anything with Gerard Butler in it. I think he did Greenland, which was really cool and kind of scary, honestly. What else have I watched? I honestly can't remember. But if you have any suggestions, please send them my way. All right, so finish this off. This is what you should have for row 52. So we're getting there. We have 3 more rows. Again, start off each row with a chain 1 and turn. Working back across. I'm trying to think of what else to talk about. I don't want you guys to sit in silence. I can put music over this and drown myself out, which I might do. I don't think I did it with the last video that I was talking about. I can't remember. I think it might have been part 2? Maybe? Where we were working, I think the same part of the pattern just farther down. I think I was chit-chatting the whole time. So please, if you're annoyed by my voice as much as I am, feel free to mute me. It will not hurt my feelings. To be honest, if I was watching this, I would probably mute me too. Again, the pattern will be written here. If you just cannot stand my voice, totally understand. Will not hurt my feelings. Let's go ahead and keep going. Trying to think of what else to talk about. Usually I cannot stop talking. Just saying what the first thing that came to my mind is. We'll go with what is it? I can't think of the word. When people talk about the weather, let's talk about the weather. I live in southeastern Virginia, between Virginia Beach and Colonial Williamsburg, and for the past couple days, it's been beautiful. It's been low 80s, nice breeze, so it's been really nice to walk Jill around the neighborhood. The air quality is so much better. If you guys saw, I think it was in part 2, it was just after the forest fires in Canada started. So the air quality has gotten much better down here. I'm not sure what it's like in the northeastern US and in Canada, but so far down here, it has gotten considerably better. So yay. Right, this is what you should have for row 53. Moving on to row 54. Chain 1. And turn. Let's see, what else should we chat about? While we finish this up, we got 2 more rows left. Trying to think. Well, speaking of crochet hooks, since I've been having a major squeaking problem the past couple of videos, are there any hooks that you suggest that work well with acrylic yarn and don't squeak? Specifically for filming, so I don't ever have to worry about it squeaking mid-row during filming a video. I would love to know. And also, if you have any video ideas or any future crochet-alongs you would like to see, or technique videos, anything that you'd like to see, please let me know, and I will try to make it happen. Because this is the first video I've put up in a long time. Life just kind of got ahead of me, and we moved last year, or almost 2 years ago, so it's really not an excuse. But lots of life happened, just the huge. So, I'll bring this forward. I think you could see me. Hello. I hope you didn't see it down my shirt, because I don't want to cut that out. I might. I reached a little too far. That's okay. No, it's not. I'll cut it out if you could see down my shirt. Oh my gosh, I'm a total mess today. My allergies are just not it today. I might need to vacuum the house because Jelly Bean's a little sheddy lately. So that might be contributing to my allergy problem. Alright. Finish up this row, and then we have 1 more to go. Super duper excited. I love finishing up a pattern because that means we get to start another one. And that's the most exciting part, is starting a pattern. Because you get to pick the yarn, the hook, the pattern. It's just so much fun. Designing Oh, this is row 55, by the way. Last row. Designing is also super fun. You know, if you've followed along with my channel for a little while, you've seen a couple of the videos I put up, and one of them was how I design wall hangings, and everything starts with graph paper. I tape graph paper together to approximately how big I want the wall hanging to be, and I draw everything out on graph paper before I even start crocheting it, and I make changes as I go through to make sure I don't hate it before I work a bunch of rows, only to find out that I hate it, because I've done that. I just don't like a shape, a color, and I'll tell myself, trust the process, trust the process. It'll get better. You just need to work a few more rows, few more rows, few more rows, and then I hate it. So I have to frog like 20, 30 rows because I hate it. Even though I told myself to just, you know, stick through it. Maybe you'll like it. No. So I tend to listen to my gut now. Sometimes I can get a little indecisive, a little unsure. But most of the time, if I keep going, you know, it looks all right. But if my gut is telling me that's going to look ugly, go ahead and keep going if you want to spend another couple hours reworking it, even though you know you hate it. You keep telling yourself you don't, but you know you do. Never listen. Well, now I do. Sometimes. Right, it's coming up on the last row. Last few stitches of the row. And we are done with the pattern. Yay. 3, 2, 1. Yay. All done. So beautiful. So this is what you should have after we've finished all the rows in the pattern. She is beautiful. I cannot wait to see the colored palettes that you've decided for this wall hanging, because I'm kind of loving this blue and green. I'm really glad I went with this. Now, before I get started and go further on to show you how I hang and fringe the pattern, at this point, this is where you have to start making decisions about how you want to hang the pattern. If you've followed one of my patterns before, or you followed the video on how I hang my wall hangings, then you know I like to weave it around my branch or dowel rod. So if that's what you would like to do at this point, feel free to fasten off, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. But if you want to crochet it onto the branch, which is also a perfectly suitable decision, at this point you do not want to fasten off, and you want to keep your yarn attached to your hook, so you are able to single crochet the branch onto the wall hanging. And to do that, I'll just show you briefly. Using the same color that you ended with, you want to chain 1 and turn. And just as if you were working a single crochet, you are going to want to work over the tree branch. So move the tree branch underneath, like so, making sure that your working yarn is underneath your tree branch. You want to insert your hook into the stitch, pull up a loop, and then pull through 2 over the tree branch. Again, insert your hook into the next stitch, under the tree branch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2. And you would work that through the duration of the top of the wall hanging. If you would like to do a two-toned, like I have in the photos of the finished product, feel free to work this blue color until you reach the end of the blue square. Then just fasten off the blue color, tie on the green, and then work the rest of the single crochet in the green color. If that is what you'd like to do. I am going to do that, but I am going to weave my branch on is just, I like the finished product of it. I think it looks very tapestry-like, and I just prefer that look instead of crocheting it on. But please, again, feel free to work it however you like. But before we go, you want, when you fasten off, you want to leave about a 3-foot tail if you're going to be weaving it onto the branch, just to give yourself a little wiggle room. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to trim my ties on the back, and I will be right back to show you how to weave this onto the branch. Okay, so I went in and weaved, or not weaved in, I wish. I do not have the patience to weave all these in, but I went ahead and trimmed all my ties and cut about a 3-foot tail just to give myself some wiggle room. I don't need that much because what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a 2-toned weave. So I'm going to do blue here, green here, just to give it a little, you know, pizzazz, because why not? We're here, why not? So I'm going to weave this onto my tree branch. I wish it were straight. It's not. It's fine. You know what? It gives a little bit of character. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to thread my needle. I love this needle. I think Hobby sent it to me. It's got this kind of, I don't know if you called it a beveled edge, but it kind of like an uptick. You know what I mean? So it's not straight. There's a little curvature at the end. And it is perfect for this kind of scenario. All right, so if you want to weave in, again, please feel free to crochet it on if that is what you're comfortable with and that is the look that you'd like to go with. I am going to go ahead and weave this onto my branch. So to do this, you're going to take that tail, you're going to throw it over the tree branch, and you're going to start off by putting this yarn needle with the tail attached into that last stitch of the row, and you are going to pull that through and tighten just like that. And again, you're just going to make sure you are throwing that tail over the tree branch and then going back under with the tail, and just kind of tighten and adjust it as you go. I'll do another one just to show you. Going underneath the branch, pulling it tight. And I'm going to do this for all of the blue. I will go ahead and stop right before this last blue stitch so I can show you how I change colors. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I will be right back. Okay, so I'm coming up on the last stitch of the blue color that I'm going to use to weave on my wall hanging, and then I'm going to switch to the green. But I wanted to show you how I switched colors just in case you were following the same method as I am for hanging the branch. So to do this, I'm going to insert the needle into the last blue stitch, tighten that loop like I have been, and then I'm going to flip the branch over, and I'm going to insert this needle into one of these stitches back here and pull that through to tighten that loop, that last loop of the blue. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to tie on this green color. I'll go ahead and snip this so it's easier to tie on. I'm going to tie this green color on like that. And then I'm going to pull out another like 3-foot tail again, just to give me some wiggle room. And then whatever I have left, I can always recycle and use for the fringe. So there is no wasting going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that tail. And then I'm going to take this off, take the blue off, because I like to tie it on, because sometimes I lose the tail and then I have to reweave it or re-thread it, and it's just not fun. So I always just tie it on so I don't lose it as I'm pulling the tail through. I'm just gonna, again, just tie it on like that. Going to flip the branch over, and just like we have been doing, I'm just going to find that stitch, the first green stitch, and pull that tail through just like that. And then I'm going to keep working like I have been. I'm going to throw the tail over the branch, find the next stitch, and kind of weave my way around that tie I did back there to attach the green color, and voila! And we have a two-toned weave, which I think looks so cool with this pattern, because it's kind of like a color block retro kind of situation. So I think the two-tone looks really cool. So I am just going to keep weaving this onto my branch, and I am going to weave it to the end, and I'm going to wait to do the last stitch so I can show you how I finish this off. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I just finished weaving on the rest of the green. So I'm going to show you how I finished this off. So I have left the last stitch. So I'm going to just keep doing what we're doing. We're going to throw that tail over, go underneath, insert that needle into that last stitch. Oop, pull it through. Tighten to create the loop, and I'm just going to go ahead and do some tightening before we finish this off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the piece over. I'm going to go into one of these random stitches back here. I'm going to pass the needle through, tighten just to make sure it is the right tension for to match the rest of the loops, and I'm going to insert the needle back into a stitch right next to it or near it. It really doesn't matter. As long as it's close to it, I'm going to pull it through until it creates a loop, like so. And then I'm going to pass the needle through the loop and tighten to knot that off and keep that last loop in place. And then I'm going to weave this tail through a couple of these stitches back here just to secure. Oh, I'm gonna throw, there we go. Secure it in place, and then take my scissors and finish that off. Just like that. It's a little wonky over here because I have this bump right here on the branch, so I kind of wanted to throw it over somehow, get it to stay so it doesn't slide off. And then I'll just go through and kind of straighten these as much as I can, and then I'll either weave this in or tie it off. For time's sake, I'm just going to tie it off because I tied off all the back ones anyways. So we'll just go ahead and snip that off, and let's see how it looks. Pretty. Oh, that looks so cute. I love the blue and the green. I'm so glad I went with it. Okay, so now that we have this all weaved on and attached to the branch, now it is time to fringe. Now I'm going to do something a little different with the fringe as well. Instead of doing the coordinating colors for the fringe, doing green fringe here and blue fringe here, I am going to swap it to match the flowers. So I'm going to do blue fringe here and green fringe here, because I thought it would look super cute. All right, and so to do the fringe, what you're going to do is I'm going to take the blue yarn because I'm doing the blue flower, and I'm going to measure about maybe 10 or 11 or 12 inches just to give me some wiggle room. And I'm going to fold it in half and see if that is the length that I would like my fringe to be. For this part, it really does not matter because I'm going to steam the piece and flatten the fringe and then trim the fringe. So this is just for the sake of it being easier to work with, so you're not having to work with small fringe pieces. It's just easier if they're larger. So I'm going to go ahead and do it about, say it's about 12 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and snip that and use that as a reference. And I'm going to go ahead and just measure out a couple of pieces of fringe, or a couple pieces of yarn cut to this 12-inch measurement. You are going to need 3 strands of yarn to complete one fringe. And that is just my preference. I like them to be a little bit thicker so it looks a little fuller down here. Feel free to use any number pieces of yarn that you'd like for your fringe. Again, I'm using 3 pieces just to give the fringe some nice thickness. So I went ahead and cut a few pieces. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the very left foundation chain. So you can see here why I decided to use the back hump of the chain rather than just working directly into the chain, because it gives me a nice ledge and nice distinct stitches down here for me to be able to insert my hook in to attach the fringe. So I'm going to find this very far left foundation chain here and insert my hook in there. I'm going to grab 3 pieces of yarn, fold them in half and around my finger, and then I'm going to use that center point where the yarn is on my finger to loop that onto my hook, and then I'm going to pull that through about 2 or so inches, just enough to give me a nice loop down here, and then I'm going to pass this tail into the loop like so and tighten to create the fringe, just like that. Super easy. So we'll go ahead and do one more. And instead of working in every single foundation chain down here, I'm going to work every other. So I'm not going to work into this one that's directly next to this fringe. I'm going to go into the next one here. If I work in every one, it'll get really tight and clustered together. It would definitely work if you used fewer strands in your fringe, let's say 1 or 2, just to give it, you know, a little less girthiness. I don't know how else to explain it. So it's not as tight going through, but because I like a little bit of a thicker fringe, I do it in every other foundation chain instead of every one. So I will go ahead and show you again. So we're going to take these strands, fold it in half, loop it around our finger, use that halfway point on our finger to loop it onto the hook, pull the hook through the stitch about 2 inches or so, just enough for you to get your fingers through and create a loop, pass those tails through the loop, and tighten to create the fringe. And just give it a nice tug to tighten, just like that. Then I'm going to insert my hook back into the, not the next stitch, but the next one, so every other one, so I know what the placement is for my next fringe. So I'm going to go ahead and continue that all the way across. I'm going to stop my blue fringe where it looks like I'm about to start going into this blue territory here. And once depending on where I end, I'll either end here or here. I'll switch to the green fringe, just using one of the blue strands as a reference to trim out the length of the green, and then finish off with the green fringe. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back so we can talk about how to finish this whole wall hanging up and wrap it into one pretty polished piece. I'll be right back. Okay, so I just finished attaching the fringe and I am obsessed with it. I love the kind of mismatch, whatever, of colors. I think it looks so cool with the rest of the wall hanging and the different colors for the weaving. It just looks so cool, but we're not quite done. If you want this wall hanging to have like a sleek, professional, kind of finished appearance, my biggest suggestion would be to steam it. You can do this a couple of different ways. I like to use a hand steamer. I secure this to a board and hand steam it standing up, so I just kind of pin it where I would like it and then steam and kind of flatten as I go. This is especially helpful for flattening out the fringe, because right now it has a little bit of a curly appearance and I like it to be nice and flat and sleek, and it's also a lot easier to trim the fringe after it's been steamed and flattened. So you can do it with a hand steamer, which is something that I like to use, and I'll go ahead and link the one that I use in the description box below. Or you can also use an iron. I would use it on one of the lowest settings, and I would put some kind of cloth over top. A pillowcase would work just fine. You just lay the pillowcase down and kind of lightly go over the piece with an iron and kind of manipulating it as you went along to straighten it up and flatten it where it needs to be flattened. And the same thing with the fringe down here. You just lay like a pillowcase or some kind of sheeting down, and then using the iron over top to give the fringe a nice flat appearance. You're able to trim it. And I wouldn't even trim this that much, depending on how much the fringe is lengthened after kind of flattening and straightening it out. But I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera so you can see a little before and after. So this is before. I'm going to go ahead and steam and trim so you can see the after. So I will be right back. Okay, so this is the after. This is after I have steamed it and trimmed it, and like most haircuts, it came out a little shorter than I thought it would, but I don't hate it. Isn't that how our haircuts always go? I did a little bit overboard just to try to get it as straight as I could, and once you start cutting, you can't stop. So I got it a little shorter than I had expected, but I actually kind of love it. I think it's just a nice touch. So this is the finished wall hanging. I am so proud of us. We got through it, and I really hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. And I hope to do more of these in the future, but again, please let me know down in the comments if you would like to see another crochet along, if you prefer the shorter videos, longer videos that kind of with jump cuts and kind of fast forwarding through things. So please let me know what you would like to see. I am so excited to see what you guys come up with. Please don't forget to tag me on Instagram at loveandstitch with 2 H's and use the hashtag loveandstitch so I can check in and see how you guys are progressing through the crochet along, and so I can see the cool color choices that you have decided to come up with. And as always, if you have any questions or concerns, suggestions, please feel free to leave those down in the comments below, but don't forget to be respectful and kind, please. We don't need any meanies. We don't want them. All right, and with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and go. Again, I really hope you enjoyed this crochet along, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.